I think one of the hardest things I've ever had to do was to stop comparing myself. I've only ever been myself. I can only ever be myself. In consciousness to the life I'm living right now, to the human flesh, we will never be, the next person will never be more important than us, than what we want. And to a certain extent, living for, claiming to be living for Christ or not, we tend to want to serve ourselves because that's how we are. That's just how the human race is. Where I'm going with that is the fact being that we, how you say, well, I've been put in a lot of situations where I feel like I have been selfless, and I wasn't being selfless because I wanted people to be it to me in return, but because it was expected. And a lot of times in 2025, people let me know, Karudi, you're really, you have really high expectations. And so like, when I heard that, I was like, what is that supposed to mean? Like, you would expect, and that's the word I use, right? You would expect that when you're kind to people, people would then think about you and then return in the same way. I tend to call myself a loser every now and then when that theory is wrong. But that's not the theory of God. That's my theory. Because that's what I've always lived by. And it's always fallen short. But I didn't have Christ in my life, so I didn't realize that just like the Israelites, right, who God saved again and again, who God saved. Ooh, why does this look like that? Maybe I should be over here. Who God saved again and again, betrayed him, just betrayed him, betrayed his grace, betrayed his love, and showed none back at all. So you think I might have learned that because I read the Torah, but no. But it's not because I thought I was different. It's not because I thought I was more special than the Lord. Because even from when I was living for the Lord to now, no, it's not because of any of that. It's simply because I believe in the benefit of the doubt. But it seems that we can't live to understand, or how you say, put the benefit of the doubt at a almost untouchable pinnacle for a lot of humans. It hurts. I'm only 18 years old, so I feel some people would say I haven't lived a lot of life. Maybe I haven't lived a lot of life. I've done a really good job on censoring certain things, but I didn't do it on purpose. That's just how I was raised. And so then I took that and I kept going with it. I didn't really search for things that I wasn't raised to understand that I have or don't have a place in. That was just me. That's who I've always been. Graduation day, you know, it didn't go the way I wanted or whatever, right? There's this girl, and I didn't know her, but apparently she was like mutuals with my mutuals of my mutuals other mutual, and I don't know, I didn't see her. She was fairly short, and she came out of the crowd, and my mom had invited her pastor, and then she came behind, this is a fairly huge man, came behind him, and then went, oh, well, then grabbed, well, she was reaching out for my hand, and I was like, oh my gosh, hey! Oh my gosh, hey! And then I was trying to, like, give her a hug. It was, like, too tight of space. She was smaller than me, shorter, yeah. It's too small of a space for me to go in for a hug, too short of a space for me to shake her hand. So, I was just holding her hand, like, you know, it was awkward, but, you know, like, not for me, not for really, you know, I love awkward things, but yeah, and so then I was holding her hand, and she started, like, squeezing my hand. She didn't even say anything, she didn't even, like, say my name or anything, like, I'd fall and said, hey, oh my gosh, like, said her name and everything, and she was just, like, squeezing my hand. I was like, what the, I was like, what the truck, but I was like, what? Like, what's going on? Like, you know, and I think that was the first time I felt I could say someone looked at me like an idol. I feel like, I definitely went through this, like, whole popularity switch and change in 12th grade, not to the point where I felt like, oh, I was the best, and I'm, yeah, no, like, none of that, but it's more of a thing where I was, like, definitely getting way more attention than I ever expected, or, yeah, honestly, Because, I mean, trust me, it was in my head, but I didn't know it was the reality. Like, trust me, it was in my head. So, yeah, I don't know, like, when I went home, I was thinking about it. When I talked to my best friend, I was telling her about it, she was like, yeah, no, she was, like, always, like, really weird. Yeah, I mean, and she was, because she was pretty social with a lot of other people. With me, like, she's just like, I don't know, I don't remember the time, but I remember she was, like, somewhere, and she was like, oh my gosh, you're so pretty. Like, okay, thank you, period. Slay. But she didn't, like, I don't know, she didn't, like, actually know who I was. And so then it reminds me of how a lot of girls, my own friends and me once upon a time, look at K-pop idols. Love me some Bang Chen. I'm not gonna sit here and lie to you. Love me some Bang Chen. But the way I used to idolize Bang Chen was on something different. You know, if I saw Bang Chen, it was like I was about to pass out. Have you seen the body? But that's not what we're here for. Even me, like, recently I've been, like, working out and realizing that, dang, I just as easily could have been born as any other race or any other person, and just as easily from the beginnings of time as it's been written in records and as we've studied, you know, the, how you say, discrimination between the differences of humans could have been absolutely anything. Right? It could have been noses, it could have been feet, it could have been hair, it could have been arms, it could have been legs, it could have been the ability to walk, you know, and all of those still do exist. But the most prominent one is skin color, tracking back to race. More than that, it's so funny how that details back into the Bible on how when the Israelites tried to build the tower because they wanted to be closer to God, and God separated all, made all speak different languages, made all different, resulted in all having different skin colors. I would have to then go into that conversation, you know, and I've been wanting to talk about that for hours, but I'm going to put that in my studying Japanese video because that's big. But yeah, so I was like, at that point, what can I do? Because you can idolize the body, you can idolize the person, you can idolize the face, but then that person is still crying at night. That person is still feeling some type of way, regardless of what you think of them. What is your point, Kawiti? My point is that there's a lot of pretenders out here. And in that pretending, we get lost. Not that I'm one. At that point, that was the first time I wasn't pretending. But we get lost in the fact that so many of these people are pretending because they're actually unhappy, but their temporary unhappiness portrayed as happiness, portrayed as having made it and as luxury, is something we idolize. But when we get there, we as in people who are not at the pinnacle of life, those people who are at the pinnacle of life realize when they get there, they need Christ. Bryce Crawford and 6ix9ine were just in an interview, and they were talking about 6ix9ine being in a cell with Diddy, and Diddy was doing this whole thing where, well, he's not doing this whole thing, I'm just like talking, but he then asked apparently, allegedly to 6ix9ine, Diddy asked him, oh, can I pray with you? He asked, can I pray with you? And in asking, can I pray with you, they prayed and they talked about all these things. The fact that Diddy can get off of his high horse and say, can I pray with you, is a huge step. Not to say that, yeah, because I feel like regardless of all that stuff, his partying, his alleged cases put against him, all those things, everyone needs Christ. Because the drugs, the jealousy, whether he committed those murders or not, it didn't make him feel whole. I said the thing that go on that man stuff, and it's just like, wow. Like, how can a human being like that exist? But let's be real. Most of y'all, if y'all was put in his position, would have done the exact same thing. Whether your heart was different or not. Whether you actually did the whole act or not. Whether you were raised like the way he was raised or not. You know, just saying, let's not put judgment. There's righteous judgment. So you gotta like, okay, maybe, you know what I mean? But the fact that he can even say that, because most of y'all not doing what he doing, but y'all judging him, but y'all living for the world. all in all, to bring this back and end it here, my thing is it's so funny how we're so quick to idolize things we don't even realize we cannot live without. And I just posted something about that on my story. And in me going through a season where I was so apathetic, though my nature is to be empathetic, because I've been hurt so many times and it's so easy to go to apathy, I realized that you can continually live without these things, but only by the grace of God. Because without Christ, without a constant vessel, without a constant redeemer in your life, you will go to the things. You will go to porn. You will go to buying things with money you don't have. You will go to promiscuity. You know, you'll cheat on your wife. You'll cheat on your husband. You know, you'll hurt your best friend, and then you'll turn around off there. You hurt all these people, and you're like, dang, but I don't know why I did that. You did that because you're empty, and you're only empty because you're not filling the spirit with what it needs, what it craves. Because you can't touch the spirit. The devil can't touch the spirit unless you give him permission. Only Christ can soothe it. And so then that's where anxiety and depression, you can't touch depression. You can't touch, no medicine, no therapy, no nothing. Without Christ in it, nothing's going to heal it. It's always going to be there. And I think that's what the world needs to understand. And I brought up the comparison part in the beginning because there's times where I compare myself to Cliff Connectley, Bryce Crawford, Elijah Lim, and it's like, wow, like, you know. And Pastor Philip Mitchell, it's like, dang, if these guys saw my content, they'd probably think I'm a joke. I think one of the biggest things we have to understand, and I have to understand, is that it's not about not being white. It's not about not being a man. It's that I'm not them. Their calling, their way of speaking is a whole other way of me being of me. Because they come from different backgrounds. And they come from a different culture comes to play in. And yeah, they're different people than me. And they're all individually made in different ways. In a different way than I am. So, all in all, basking through God who has anointed me time and time again, that I made the way I am, perfectly, patiently, whatever, to reach the people I want to reach the people who can reach the world because of their influence, is by me being an individual. Because certain people can only go so far. So if I continue to hinder myself in a way of, oh, but I'm not like this person, I'm not like this person, no matter what I did in the past, bro, I'm telling you, I'm not thinking about that. All these people who are on pinnacles, they're not thinking about that. Promise you, they're overthinking just as much as you are, just as much as I am. Why? Because we're literally human. And it's so human to hear that. It's so human to realize that. But we almost forget that because we consume so much to the point where we're 100% believing that what we consume is all it is. But we don't see the struggle because no one's going to post their struggle. No one is. Even me, I think it's just hard for me to post my struggle. So it's like, dang, like, is this really even me? But I'm not about to post myself crying on here. No, I'm not doing that. But I don't have any reason to cry, but please, I'm never doing that. What the freak? No. Like, no, sorry. What? Like I said, it's sad that the only place we got to express ourselves is social media. Because, you know, I watched a lot of dystopian when I was little. But yeah, guys, thanks for listening.